best under 18 11 in the world. This is a huge topic for us here at FC Wonderkid. I am dying to know your 11. Is it U.S. men's national team bias? I don't know, but mine, I can guarantee you people, mine is Portuguese. A bit biased because a lot of these players I followed since the age of 14, 15, and I've had the privilege to speak to some of them. Come on, Wonderkids. Names that you don't know will be mentioned here. Hopefully. Or you're just a scout. That could be the case too. So how are you feeling, Bretson, with your defense here? I'm dying to know.
Well, one thing we have to talk about is why nobody at this age, there just aren't any straight left footers anymore, I suppose. Because the left side, if you're looking for a pure left winger, pure left back, it's really difficult out there. Now, there are obviously right wingers that could play on the left side. I don't think we're going to go down that path. Maybe we will, but I'm just saying that was the hardest part of this. There are players I think are great, but when you compare them to the other parts of this 11, it's like there's a clear difference right now. So goalkeeper is also a place. Why? Because a lot of goalkeepers do not get their chances in the first team at 17, 18, even 19 years old. But we're doing U-18 here, and this is where my American bias will come in. I went with Miami born goalkeeper Diego Cachin, who has La Masia has worked his way up. He is insanely highly rated in that setup. And you know that if you're highly rated in that setup, whether you stay there or you go elsewhere, you will likely find a home. You will find a starting 11. You will likely find a starting 11 that is at your proper level, as we've seen many of La Masia products do. Exactly. Heck, we talked about Cucurella. We talked about a lot of these players that have all come from the Dani Olmo. They all went elsewhere. Diego Cachin, though, is being groomed to potentially be Ter Stegen's takeover, right? He is the next guy potentially in line beyond Inaki Peña. We'll see if it happens, but Diego Cachin is also absolutely key. I wish we could have seen him at the recent, whether it was the U-20 CONCACAF Championship or even at the Olympics, but he was not released. And he just got to go back to the States, travel with Barcelona through the States, even go to his home state of Florida, and he got to experience that whole preseason with them. I think Diego Cachin will get his debut for Barcelona this season. So Cachin is an insane shot stopper and also one great distributor of the ball, which, to be honest, we don't have anywhere up and down the American youth ranks. So Diego Cachin is my goalkeeper.
And watching the Olympic game, the games of the Olympics, Morocco U.S. men's national team, I felt that a lot. That distribution from the back. Zimmerman couldn't do everything. Off ball, good. But with ball, there was a big problem right there. And well justified too, Bretson, because I have a player that hasn't played first team football. No, he's played professional football with Porto B, but he hasn't played with Porto's first team. Gonçalo Ribeiro is my goalkeeper, an extremely talented Portuguese keeper that I've had the privilege to watch many matches, and in the youth league, he was really good. Okay, people? Him and Diogo Fernandes. So Gonçalo Ribeiro is my goalkeeper. My defense now. My best under 18 defense in the world. Gonçalo Ribeiro in goal. At the left, one of the captains of Ajax, Jarel Hato. Then I have Lenny Yoro and Pau Kubarzi. And now at the right, I'm going to go bold. And I put Hector Fort, a player that I expect to see this season with Barcelona being very important to this team. Playing in La Liga, playing Champions League football, you need players like this. Players of the academy that understand what to do. And I think an under-18 best lineup, I have to have La Masia players for sure, especially with Hansi Flick trusting a lot La Masia that I'm loving to see. But yeah, it was a tough choice between Hector Fort, Archie Gray that played right back in midfielder, and Pedro Lima. Great signing from Wolves. These young right backs are for sure players that you must know, and Pedro Lima will start for Wolves next season in the Premier League. 18.
Really?
I think he starts, I think people will know about Pedro Lima, Rodrigo Gomes and Pedro Lima, but Rodrigo Gomes he's not under 18 anymore. But I wanted to mention Rodrigo. Right. Bora lá, Rodrigo.
Well, throw another right back out there to watch, though he's not in mine because I have Hector Ford as well. But Yoram Zague from PSG, who earned his debut last season. He is definitely somebody that you're going to want to watch because I think he will get more time this coming season. But be in front of my goalkeeper, Diego Cachin. I am going with left back, speedster, Fluminense. I think you're going to see a whole lot more of him. He's already had his debut for Fluminense, but he will work his way into the Brasileirão this season. And that's Esquerdinha. And funny thing is Barcelona already has him on their menu because he's somebody that can be had for relatively cheap, slot him into Barca B, and then hopefully bring him up and hopefully have more success with him than Real Madrid had with Vinicius Tobias, who ended up having to go back to Shakhtar, right? But Esquerdinha, Fluminense, if you don't know him, you will know him in the very near future. My center back pairing is Pau Cubarsí, Barcelona, obviously. Lenny Yoro at Manchester United, although João Hato I wanted to put there at center back. Vuskovic, I'm like this close, man, because Luka Vuskovic, I don't understand how good he is, how he is that good aerially. He is phenomenal. I mean, like at 17 years old, like Tottenham, you are going to absolutely love when this kid makes it. I see it.
Agree.
I see it in the future. It has to happen. It has to happen. But he's already off the mark in a good way, or on the mark, whatever you want to put it, for Westerlo. And I think that's a great next development step. I could even see 6 months into this thing, Spurs calls him back and says, let's go. Let's make it Vuskovic time. But Cubarsí, Yoro, what they've done so far with how young they still are, I still have Cubarsí, Yoro as my center back pairing. So left back, Escardino, Cubarsí, Yoro, my center back pairing, and my right back, I had to go with Hector Fort as well. And you've already said it. I think the other name is that Yoram Zague for PSG, beyond the Pedro Lima and beyond Martin Fernandez, who I think you mentioned, right? For Porto.
I actually didn't. Well said, Martin Fernandez. Did play at that left back against Sporting yesterday, which he played really well.
So there's also another name, because we keep mentioning João Hato, and we know probably by the end of this season he's going to be plucked, right? Much like the Timber, much like Jurriën Timber. I think he will be plucked away at some point in the very near future, which leaves one of Ajax's only interesting signing so far this summer. 16-year-old Jordi Mokio, I'm sorry. He was just plucked away from the Belgian Pro League. 16 years old. I think he's well beyond his years at 16 years old, and I think he's going to make his Eredivisie debut for Ajax this season. So if you're looking for the next João Hato, they just picked him up in the offseason. They're going to give him his chances very likely. But defense, Esquerdinha, Cubarsí, Yoro, Fort.
Interesting defense. These are great names, people, okay? I'm loving this because we're giving the highlights of players that deserve it, and you surely will know really soon in first team football, a lot of them. But Cubarsí, yes. Yeah. These big names you already know. But in midfield, with my two midfielders, well, I'll say the cam two. So my three in midfield, I have Marc Bernal, that I believe is going to be the CDM of Barcelona this season. Unfortunately, they're not going to get Zubimendi. I think Marc Bernal is going to get that trust. So my CDM, Marc Bernal, and next to him, I have to put Warren Zaïre-Emery. That he's already one of the best midfielders in Liga at such a young age. And what he did in the Champions League was insane against Dortmund, especially. And my cam, I'm going to be biased, but I can guarantee you, people, he's one of the best talents in the world of football with Rodrigo Mora. Big season ahead. Technically, decision-making is insane, and he's my favorite Portuguese talent to watch. So my midfield, my best under-18 midfield for next season, I have Bernal, Warren Zaïre-Emery, and Rodrigo Mora. But attacking mids, this is a debate. This is so many options.
There's too many. It's like the right side and center cams. I guess everybody wants to be that these days. We probably know why that is. But my goodness. But I had to go with a future Chelsea player for my cam. So you already know who that is. But Warren Zaïre-Emery, I think there's a lot of people forgetting what he offers, mainly because we didn't see him at the Euros. To be honest, if you weren't going to use him at the Euros, send the guy to the Olympics, which is unfair.
Well said.
But man, he would have had a field day playing for Thierry Henry. And Thierry Henry, I don't know who he just got in a fight with, but he got in a fight with somebody and benched him. Could have been. I forget who it is. But Warren Zaïre-Emery is definitely my center mid. If you want to find another one that's like him in Ligue 1, Ayoub Bouhaddi, who's debuted for Lille, is somebody I think is going to have a much bigger part to play for Lille this season. So if you're looking at Lenny Yoro, he could be in the respect of, getting 25, 30 plus Ligue 1 games under his belt. Ayoub Bouhaddi could be that this season, that breakthrough that Lille has. But Warren Zaire-Emery is the first in my midfield. Second is, I'm going with a little bit of Spurs bias here because I loved him in the Allsvenskan. I liked him the moment Spurs picked him up. I didn't expect him to literally take the blindfold off of all of us. Lucas Bergvall's ready. He's ready for the Premier League. Lucas Bergvall at Spurs, I think, is the right next step. So I'm putting Lucas Bergvall right next to WZE. And then my cam is Kendry Paez, man. I think he's better than Echeverri. I think he's better than the majority of players out there right now. He's been doing it for Ecuador. He was one of the better young players in the Copa America.
True.
And he's done it at Copa Libertadores. He can do it at all levels. I think he's only going to grow the next year or two. Hopefully he stays healthy. But Kendry Paez for me is just so exciting to watch that he makes the list above Echeverri. He makes the list for me above Rodrigo Mora, who is incredibly interesting to watch. But yeah, Kendry Paez is my cam to watch this coming season.
Love it.
I feel like Chelsea wishes they could get him in the lineup like now, right?
And Kunku Palmer. Well, give him another year. But that's mad with
give
Chelsea.
Him another year.
Stevo and Kendry Paez next season. Those are two elite signings. It's the future of football. Definitely South American football. But Kendry Paez, I agree. To see his output for Independiente del Valle since the age of 15, kudos to him, and he for sure deserves a spot. And I like what you're saying. But Rodrigo Mora, you know how I feel with him. I'm just too sure. But there's others.
But with Paez,
Liberali, also of Milan. Great under 17 Euros.
Absolutely. Mastantuono, the next River starlet, for sure is somebody you're going to want to watch. Obviously,
Noah Darvish.
Constantinos Carretzas you'd want to look at, especially if El Canus goes to RB Leipzig. Noah Darvish, we'll see if he makes it through. I do love your Mark Bernal shot.
Those Arsenal fans screaming at the screen.
He has looked a man amongst boys relatively recently, especially in preseason. So, I mean, but there's other names. Tygo Land at PSV, not a cam, but somebody you're going to want to watch. Because, they've upped him. Sver Nipan should have been picked up. Rosenberg is in shambles. So I'm not entirely sure why Nipan is still in the Elite Syrian. I have no clue why. And to be honest, I feel like Gent or one of those Pro League behemoths should be coming in for Nipan and giving him that next step. And I'm sure it will happen. But yeah, Mastantuono is the other one.
Gil Fernandes too. Yeah. That's I said Bernal, but I was really considering putting Gil Fernandes and Lewis Miley. That for Newcastle, he had a great season. And there's another one that I was forgetting, Gabriel Moscardo, that was signed from PSG. Good player too.
More defensive.
More defensive than the options that we said. But Marc Bernal is the one that I'm more hyped. So my midfield with Marc Bernal, Warren Zaire-Emery, Rodrigo Mora. Then at the right, it's for sure. We cannot say another player, right, Bretson, for best right winger under 18.
No, I feel like we have to do a Yamal-less 11, though. But yes. Lamine
Yamal, exactly. But if it's not Lamine, for me personally, Estevão. William Estevão. And 60 million Chelsea's already spent that. Mad.
I mean, it's not just that, right? It's Lamine Yamal. You've got William Estevão. You've got, come on, let's see. I'm going to go down the list here.
Prestiani.
Giovanni Kenda.
Roger Fernandes.
Actually, you've got Luis Guilherme, who just signed for West Ham.
Rooney Bargi.
We've got Wait, you already said Prestiani.
Rooney Bargi, Duranville. Also a good player.
Yep.
So
when's he gonna break out? There's just
of Porto.
Ben Doak. Remember when we were all talking about Ben Doak for Liverpool? His next move needs to be a loan, and it needs to happen soon. It needs to happen
like Ben
extra soon.
I really hope it doesn't happen with him, because Ben Doak, dribbling-wise, good player.
Yeah. What about Roger Fernandes?
Roger Fernandes, yes, mentioned. Hat-trick of assists.
Oh, you mentioned him. Okay.
Hat-trick of assists in the last game, which was very good to watch. And he extended with Braga too. So the Portuguese league is full of talents. I'm hyped about that, Preston. So with the left wing, though, that's where we were. We still so many options at the right, but at the left, do we have the same?
We don't. We don't. Go ahead. You tell me yours.
Asandiao, Real Betis left winger that's playing La Liga football. I think he's got the experience, and I think the listeners deserve to know the name of this player.
Yes, Asandiao might also get sold in the relatively near future because Betis does need to raise funds. Apparently, that's why they're looking at selling Johnny Cardoso, who everybody wants. Asandiao is another one. I mean, he's kind of like Omarodian, who there's just this incredible raw talent to him, and he probably will. He needs to find the next best step in order to realize that potential. But I'm going to throw out somebody. I mean, we don't talk a lot about the Russian Premier League right now because of everything that's going on. But there is a young Brazilian there that is killing it. I mean, hit the ground running. Pedro Henrique, 18. He's 18 years old. He's got 3 goals in the first 3 games for one of the bigger teams in that Premier Liga. That is Zenit St. Petersburg. So Pedro Henrique, I think if people are watching, he likely could be brought in. He is an out-and-out left winger. So if I'm going to name somebody else other than Asandiao, that would be him. The other one that I want to see do really well, though, is somebody I've been talking about, a Slovakian player that hasn't really gotten the chance that I expected him to get so far at Feyenoord, but Leo Sauer. Leo Sauer was part of the Euro roster, saw a little bit of time. I think he's just they're biding his time with him. I wonder if under Brian Prisk? Brian Prisk,
Brian
taken
Prisk,
over,
the new manager of Feyenoord.
Yeah. I honestly believe that he is going to get his allowance. He's going to get his time under Prisk, who has a penchant for giving these types of opportunities for young players. So Leo Sauer is a left winger as well. Already got 3 caps for the Slovakian national team, and is one to watch. So I did a little digging there. It would have been a lot easier to take a right winger and put him on the left side, but there's some decent ones. For
sure. Great names that we've mentioned until now. Wonderkids that you for sure must know. And now it's striker. Well, the obvious choice is Hendrik, but there's other under 18 strikers that you must know. Francesco Camarda for me. It might be bold for some people, but Francesco Camarda is a better finisher than Hendrik. Hendrik for Palmeiras was crucial for them to win the Brasileirão. But Francesco Camarda and Liberali next to him, that I sure hope to see more next season with Paul Fonseca, he's a pure finisher that Italy, the Azzurri, need desperately. Since Balotelli, I see no striker for the Italian national team that I get scared. Immobile at Lazio, one thing. But Balotelli was the last one that I was saying. That's a proper finisher. Camarda, I expect him to be that player because watching the under-17 final of Portugal against Italy, Camarda was insane. Insane game. And not just scoring, dribbling, the way he plays with his teammates. What a player.
Got
Francesco
size,
Camarda. Size, speed, exactly.
Yeah.
Pure athlete.
And watching the video, right, just video of him in training right now, he doesn't look like a boy amongst men, right? He just looks like a kid that is ready to actually play a part in a chase for a Serie A title this coming season under Fonseca. So I agree with Camarda. I do think, though, Endrick is going to need a year. And if you expected like Vinicius before him, like Rodrigo before him, the people that are jumping off the Endrick ship so quickly. Now I know everything is accentuated, is a cesspool like when you spend too much time on Twitter, on X, or whatever you want to call it. It trends more so to the negative than the positive. Endrick is still an insanely generational talent that I think will make it over time. If not under Ancelotti, it will be under Xabi Alonso after him, right? But
I
we
think
already know
Camarda will be better.
Endrick.
I think Camarda might be a better striker in 5 to 10 years' time. But that's the big question, people. Let us know down below what you're thinking. Hendrik, Camarda, Agustin Roberto for River Plate, and he had a really good under-17 World Cup. Seme Kiliçoy, Besiktas future and Turkish future, and even Anya Kande. Good name too. And Anya Kande of Porto, which he had a really good youth league. I wanted to mention him. 15 years old.
But Elena Kena, man, youngest ever to debut in League 2, moves to Royal Antwerp. scores a UCL goal, if I'm not mistaken. That was against Barcelona in a pretty shock win, even though it didn't really mean anything. But Royal Antwerp scored some big goals for them and now makes a move to Monaco. Which is really, really intriguing. So it's going to be Elena Kena. It's going to be Balogun. I think Ben Yedder's gone, but they're going to have a pretty young strike force, only 17 years old. So that's another name you have to watch.
I love it. What an exercise this is. But just recap of my 11. My best under 18 World 11 I have Gonçalo Ribeiro in goal, Gerel Hato, Pau Cubarsí, Lenny Yoro, and Hector Forte in my defense. My midfield, Marc Bernal with Warren Zaire-Emery and Rodrigo Mora in that camp possession, but Kendry Paez and Liberali insane. Right wing, it has to be Lamine Yamal. Left, Asandiao. And striker, I'm going to put Francesco Camarda. But yes, Hendrik is the obvious choice. But listeners, Francesco Camarda is coming to be the best finisher in the world of football. You've been warned. You've been warned.
All right. Mine is, you ready? Goalkeeper is Diego Cachin. Left back is Esquerdinha at Fluminense. My center back pairing is Cubarsí and Yoro. Right back is Fort. My midfield is Zaire-Emery, Lucas Bergvall at Spurs. Watch him. Kendry Paez, who I think is better than a lot of the cams at this moment in time. My left winger up top is Pedro at Zenit St. Petersburg. Striker Endrick, I got to go with him, although big ups to Elena Kena at Monaco and Dagim at RB Salzburg, somebody you've got to watch. And right wing, Lamine Yamal. But you know what? I'm going to throw out Roger Fernandez because I think he's primed to have a bigger season this coming season for Braga, especially if they want to work their way into the top 3.
Agree. He's going to be a starter for Braga, but let us know down below your options of best under 18 Wonderkids. Like this video for more videos just like this.